all aboard the Portillo Express for some train games. A few weeks back we played Southern Belle with Mr PSB driving a train between London and Brighton, and I decided it'd be fun to have a look at some other train games available for the 8-bits, but not train simulators, because most of them are absolutely rubbish. In fact, all of them. It's Southern Belle and Evening Star are the main games in town. This game here, you can see, claims to be a simulator, but it's written in BASIC and it just gives you some static screens. So we're going to look at games based around trains, more arcade type games. And this is for the 8-bits only. So what better place to start than Stop the Express on the Sinclair Spectrum. And what you do is you run along the top of the train, you catch these chicken things and you throw them back at the enemies. You've got to go chasing, and they shoot at you, you have to duck down and you run along. The graphics are really, really colourful. And you just run along and jump, and it's all pixel perfect and it works really, really well. Sometimes you have to duck down. I'm going to have to duck down very shortly, because it says caution, because these things go past you like railway gantries, and the idea is to get to the front of the train, and when you fall, as I did there, you fall and then the entire train goes past you, and you get information at the top saying what car you're on, because you need to get to the front. You've got 19 cars, so it's quite a way to get down to the front of the train. It's a fantastic game. Yes, it's difficult. The enemies always spawn in the same places, so it does become a bit of a memory test. But it's so colourful and so fun, especially for a very early Sinclair Spectrum game. This is Hudson Soft, by the way, although it's published by Scion. So it's the same people who invented Eric and the Floaters / Bomberman. Check it out. It's really good. Of a similar vintage, Konami released this game, Crazy Train, in 1983. And what you have to do is slide around the blocks there to make the train go all the way round the track. Sliding things around there, so everyone is picked up. It's not exactly a high-octane game, but it's quite good fun. It's a very early MSX game. It's on cartridge, as I say, it's by Konami. And every so often the colours change. It goes to nighttime mode, so you lose all the colours and it just goes to this black and blue screen. It's not the fastest paced game in the world, but it's actually quite good fun. Kind of reminds you a little bit of Pipe Mania, which came many, many years later. And there you go, I've missed the end of the track there and crashed, and you start off again. It's a cross between arcade action and puzzle action. Trains is what this game is called, and it's available on the Commodore 64, the Atari 8-bit, and the PC. We look at the Commodore 64 version here. It's set in America in the 1800s / early 1900s, and you have to run a railway. But it's not like later train management sims. And it does have a slightly interminable loading time between levels, but you select between levels 1 and 8 for different scenarios. Really nice sound as well for such an early C64 game. And this looks like a very basic screen. And what you have to do is you've got the train at the top there, and you control it by going right and left with the joystick to control the speed. That takes a little bit of getting used to. You've got an amount of money, which you can buy coal with. So that's your running cost, and the coal goes down as you drive around depending on your speed and how far you go. You have to pick up goods and then take them to somewhere else to earn money to keep the railway going. And when you go over points, you press up or down or left or right to go over the particular point. So there you go. We stopped at the oil well, loaded up our carts, which are at the bottom there, with unrefined oil. There we go, we've got 4 carts loaded up now. We've got to take that to the refinery. And there's 2 refineries down there at the bottom, kind of middle of the screen there. We need to stop then. Stopping is a little bit tricky. You have to get used to the controls. The train has a little bit of momentum. Trying to reverse back into the... And you also lose money when payroll time comes around as well. So you've got to continually pick up and deliver goods to earn money. So we're going to drop off this oil here. You've got to get yourself very precisely positioned. there's a work stoppage at the refinery and this kind of thing happens, meaning they can't take my oil. So I need to go round to one of the other refineries. And I've gone to one of the other levels here. This is a wood kind of market town based scenario. So you pick up wood or goods and you take them to different areas on the map. So I've got a train full of goods, different types of goods. I've got 2 wagons that can take wood and 2 wagons that can take general goods at the bottom there. And I've stopped at a town there and I need to take some of that wood to a sawmill. And some of it to the town as well. So again, you can see work stoppage at the sawmill there. It does. You have to keep an eye on things there. The market needs fresh produce, which is what I'm dropping off. The icons for the areas are a little bit annoying because you can't always work out what they are. I mean, this thing here is obviously where the logging takes place. And then you've got a little town there, but you're not quite sure what it is. But you seem to drop stuff off there and pick up general goods. Perhaps it's a factory, perhaps it's one town, then you take it to the market. I'm not sure. The sawmill's a little hut in the middle there at the bottom. So still a work stoppage at the sawmill. Oh no, but they've taken the wood, so that's fine. Sawmill needs more lumber. So I need to go and use my lumber carriage to get some more lumber. And as I say, at the bottom it shows you what the carriage can take. And then how much you've got. It's either black if it's got something on there or white if it hasn't. Hopefully you've got no train hoppers on there like Stobe the Hobo, whose videos I've been watching, and sadly I learned he passed away, which is very sad because I was enjoying his videos. Another C64 game, it's Train Robbers by Firebird. Wanted for train robbery, Cactus Pete reward $4,000. Wonderful sound presentation on the menu screen, especially considering it's I think this is a budget game. And you might be thinking this is a rip-off of Kane, and perhaps it might be, or the train slash horse section in that. But you can move up and down, which you need to if you want to avoid the cactuses. Now, don't ride too fast, because you'll hear the train approaching. You're not catching up with the train is about to go past. And again, I was talking about the train hopper videos. It's a bit like watching those guys in America trying to stow away on cargo trains. They have to get their pace exactly. Oh, no. Hit a cactus. They have to get their pace exactly right when the train slows down to hop on to stow away on the train. Which is what we're trying to do. So I forwarded it on. So there we go. Right. Now I'm on the carriage at the top there. I've got to run along and get to the train, bullion train at the back. You get no warning there. I say you get no warning. The C64 glitches quite badly before that tunnel appears. But other than that, you get no warning. Right, this time I'm on. And unlike Stop the Express, nobody appears to chase you across the top. You have to lay down and stay down in the tunnels, for which you get no warning except for a big graphical glitch that happens just before you go through a tunnel. Right, so in a different area now. Jumping is very pixel perfect. It's not like Stop the Express. If you don't get it exactly right, you fall down between the carriages and die. And because there's no warning about the tunnels, I'm lying down here really early just in case, because that was going to happen. And it would be nice if there's some trackside objects to indicate, hey, tunnel ahead in a little bit, but no, it does spring out of nowhere. But it's good fun, and it is very fiddly. It's not as good as Stop the Express, but an equivalent on the C64, it's pretty good. Over to Locomotion on the Amstrad CPC, and it's a little bit like Crazy Train, except with many, many more tiles on the screen. It's hard to imagine the people who programmed Locomotion hadn't seen Crazy Train on the MSX. But that's no bad thing. Budget games borrowed from all sorts of places. However, this isn't as much fun as the MSX game. There's a Spectrum version of this as well. The CPC version is almost certainly a port. Uses the standard CPC system font. By the way, now, if you think this is now looking really good and straightforward, and I know what I'm doing, This is demo mode. The game is quite hard because you've got so many squares on the screen. If you're into this kind of game, and also you have to get the train round to the station there, as you see it's about to do. If you like this kind of game, you're going to enjoy it. I always find this type of game very difficult, so I don't enjoy it as much, but I thought I'd bring it to you guys' attention because, hey, it might be your cup of tea. If we talk about train games, then we have to talk about the train game as featured in your Sinclair Top 100 Games of All Time. The most graphically basic game we're going to see today. You simply press keys on the keyboard to switch the points on the track. So you can see all the different keys there, and the train is represented by those little blue dots, 5 of them. And you have to get to the stations to pick up passengers. When the stations are full up, the passengers get angry, and then basically it's game over. It's graphically extremely simple, but incredibly addictive and fun. You have to plan ahead, because you can very easily end up going around in a circle, as I am now, and just basically not getting to the stations. It's about thinking 2 or 3 moves ahead to get those points right so that you end up going through the station. You can see the station on the right is nearly full, and when the passengers change colour, they're starting to get irate. So when all your passengers turn to white, then that's basically game over. And I'm doing very badly here because I'm not getting up to that station on the right, and I really need to, and that one at the bottom as well, where the people are also getting irate. And it's quite hard, but once you get the hang of it, incredibly addictive. Our final train game today is Loco. And you have to dodge the aerial bombardments and the enemy trains. And airships as well, come to think of it. And this is on the Sinclair Spectrum. And as you can see, there are trains above, and you have to hit them with your steam. Yes. And the longer you hold down fire, the higher the steam goes, and that destroys a plane. I don't know if the programmers knew about physics, but never mind. It's actually quite good fun. You've got this fantastic map down the bottom that tells you what's going on and where you can get fuel. You can fire ahead as well when other trains are on the track. It also shows you where the planes are and the stations, and really it's about survival. It's actually quite good fun. It's a bit contrived, but it's a neat implementation really, and it scrolls along nicely, and I quite enjoyed it. And it's a game I had never heard of before or played before, and it's a nice little combination of driving a steam train along, looking at this map down the bottom at where you're going to get fuel, and fuel is shown on the right hand side, and just avoiding all the enemy bombardments and things coming towards you. It's not a bad little arcade game at all, really. And while we're here, remember to check out ChinnyVision, and that's linked in the description. And also, you can support the channel if you want on Patreon. You'll notice there's no adverts on this channel. $1 a month gets you into for Patreon access, the Mega Drive multicarts, and so on. So we've looked at 7 train games. Stop the Express is an absolutely stunning Sinclair Spectrum classic. In my opinion, one of the must-play games on the system. It's so graphically appealing. The gameplay is arcade quality. It's superb. Everybody must play Stop the Express. Crazy Train is an example of an early MSX game. Lovely concept, and much simpler than Locomotion that we saw on the Amstrad CPC. It's much better implemented, but it's exactly the same type of game. But then again, that's exactly what you'd expect from Konami. Trains is a game I'd never come across before, and it's quite superb. You can play it on the C64, the Atari 8-bit, or the PC. And it's a nice balance of driving a train round arcade style and resource management. Train Robbers, again, a game I'd never come across before. It mixes all those really cool bits from Kane, where you're racing along on the horse with the train, and turns it into something that almost resembles Stop the Express. Locomotion appears to be a rehash of Crazy Train. on the Amstrad. It's not too bad, but it's perhaps a little bit complex for my taste. But if you do like the slidey puzzle games, then it's probably worth one to check out. The train game is regarded as a Spectrum classic, and I guess it is. Graphically, there's nothing to write home about, it's very basic, but it is that addictability it has. Once you start getting the points right and picking up the passages, it really starts to pull you in and you really enjoy it. Loco, again, a game I've never come across before, and it's quite good arcade fun, shooting with the train, using the steam, keeping an eye on the map. Certainly very polished and enjoyable. So I hope you've enjoyed the look at these 7 8-bit train-based games, and if you make it your business just to play one of these games, make it Stop the Express.